All right, let me walk you through the workflow called CI/CD. So don't worry too much about the configuration for this, because you can grab all of this under the description of this video and you can just copy and paste. So here I'm saying name and then CI/CD, and then I'm saying on push and then branches and then main. So main is the main branch. If you're using master as a default branch, then change this to master. Then I'm also saying that this workflow can be dispatched using the UI. So basically on push branches main is this part right here, right? So when we merge to main or master, then we want to deploy this workflow. And you'll see the steps in a second. So let me go back. Here we're just defining the environments. So here Postgres, as you've seen before. And then we have Java, so 15, Docker Hub, so username. So here, change this to your username. And then we have AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So this, in fact, is, so let me just go back here. And if I go back to AWS, and then here, go to Elastic, and then Beanstalk. And if I put this smaller, so remember before, so this is the environment that we have. So environment name and an application name in here. So check this out. Environment name and application name. So those two, they have to match. Then I'm saying EB deployment package is Elastic Beanstalk and then Docker compose.yaml. So basically this is what we have in our repository. So remember before, if I open a project, remember that we had this folder right here, and inside we have the Docker compose. So remember, this is the Docker compose file. Now if I go back in here for a second, and this is all the configuration that we need. Then we have jobs, and then name this as deploy. And here I'm saying runs on Ubuntu latest services. So this is the same thing as you saw before for the database. So we want to have a database up and running. And then here, this is where the fun begins. So here I have this action right here, and this is developed by some other guy right here, which has this action, which allows us to send Slack notifications. So here I'm saying uses, and then this is the action itself. And then I'm saying with some parameters. So status, so the job status, and then fields. So repo message commit. So basically is this repo message commit, author, action, so on and so forth. And then I'm saying text, and then CI/CD ongoing, and then eyes. So basically this text is this one right here. So CI/CD ongoing. If I go back, then we have the checkout, right? So this will actually send the Slack notification. Then we check out the code. So basically we check out our code into this runner, and then we set up Java, passing the Java version. And then here I'm saying build number, and I'm saying echo, and this is actually setting an output. So set output name equals to build number, and then here I'm using the date function and then formatting the date, and you'll see this in a second. Basically this step right here is this one, right? We set up Java, and then we generate build number. Then we perform a Docker login. So here, check this out, Docker login. And then here I'm saying Docker login action, and this is tied to a specific hash. And here I'm saying username. So env.docker.username comes from our environment up above. And then the secret or the password comes from secrets. So remember, we configured all of those 4 secrets. So the Docker password, AWS access keys, so on and so forth. So here I'm referring to that secret. Then I want to run maven clean package and push to Docker. So here I have run, and then this is my custom script. So mvnw, you've seen this, clean package, and then -p for build frontend, -p gib push to Docker. Then -d, this sets the app.imageID tag, and then the image ID tag comes from steps. So steps, and then build number, which is this one right here, and then outputs. So we set the output, and then we say build number, which is this build number, and then that value will be this one right here. So nice and easy. Then we send yet another Slack message here saying that basically we've pushed an image. So right here we pushed an image. Oops. So we push an image with the tag to Docker Hub, and then this is the link that we construct. So nothing fancy here. Then in here, oh, actually what I didn't show you is that basically when we send this Slack message, right? So Slack message, we have to pass the environment, and this is the actual Slack webhook URL. So here I'm saying secrets.slack webhook URL, and this is how this works, right? The same way that we use that webhook URL from our terminal to send a hello world message, this is the same thing. Then here, basically the same thing for this message. So every message that we send, we have to specify the Slack webhook URL. Now, this is really important, this step, update and commit app version in Docker Hub. So here I'm grabbing the build number from steps again. Then I'm echoing the Docker compose file before, and then I'm performing a search and replacement using sed. So here I'm performing a regular expression by grouping this part and then anything but the double quotes, and then I'm replacing the first capture, so the first group, followed by the build number, and then I'm passing the file that we should be performing the replacement on. So this is some sed command, and I'm going to leave a link on sed so you can learn what is happening, but you'll see this in action in a second. And then I'm echoing the result after sed has run. Then I'm setting the git config username to GitHub Actions, the email as well. And then here I'm saying git add, and then the file. And then I'm saying git commit new app version, and then pass the build number. And then I'm saying git push. So this will push to our own repository this file right here. So we'll commit and push this file with the changes. And this is important because before, remember, so if I zoom out a little bit, so what we've been doing before, so in here, remember, so we change this file manually and then we upload. So what we're doing is automating the change of this file, right? The version. So this is what this sed is doing. So this sed in here. Then I'm sending yet another Slack message saying that deployment, and then started with some emojis. And again, if you want to send a Slack message, you need to pass the Slack webhook URL in here, and we grab that from secrets. Then the final step is beanstalk deploy. So this uses an action that someone has written called beanstalk and then deploy, and this is pinning to a specific hash. And then here we have to pass a couple of arguments. So here we have to say with access key secrets.accessKeyID. So remember, we've set these, and then secrets dot and then access key. So AWS secret access key. So we did set all of this before. And then we pass the region, and this is env.aws region. So if I scroll up, so the region, you just have to make sure that the region is wherever your Elastic Beanstalk is. So in my case, if I go to AWS console, and in here, you can see that the region is Ireland, EU West 1. If you are, for example, in Canada, you say CA Central 1, or South Africa, AF South, and then 1, so on and so forth. And then if I go back and scroll down, and here we pass the environment name. So this comes from the environment variable that we defined above. The same for application name, and then deployment package. So this deployment package is, so if I go up, let me just find that, is this file right here. So the location for this file, so again, is this file right here, right? And if I scroll down, and then here I'm actually specifying the version label. So this again comes from steps. So we're just using the same build number, and then version description. So here I said version, and then this is some description about the version, right, that we can have for reference. So I said version, and then build number dot outputs dot build number, and then deployed via GitHub Actions, and then the SHA here, so we know which commit has deployed this version. Then we have wait for 60 seconds just to make sure that the deployment happens, and then we have uses, and then Slack, and then here we say ta-da, and then basically we also specify the URL for our environment, and this URL is the one that you find in here. So this URL gives us access to our application. And to be honest, this is it. And if you notice here, so the last one, I say if always. So basically, if the build fails, this will always trigger. If the build failed, this will always trigger. So we know that something has gone wrong. And to be honest, this is pretty much everything. Now, as I said, you can grab all of this from the description of this video. And all you have to do is, if I go to IntelliJ, open up projects, and then inside of .github folder, and then under workflows folder, make sure you paste all of those contents inside of deploy.yaml. And here, oops, I didn't mean to close that. So command 1, and basically this is the exact same thing that you see that I've showed you within GitHub. So the exact same thing here. So go ahead and give this a go by copying and pasting all of that YAML into your repository. And next, let's go ahead and see all of this in action.